Welcome to our talk on building a naturalistic corpus of Northern Saskatchewan Dene while working entirely remotely. So we work in Clearwater River and La Loche, Saskatchewan, indicated by the red star here. These two communities have about 4,000 inhabitants taken together, and most of them are of Dene ancestry. 90% speak Dene as their first language. We talk about two projects here. The Dene Suline Language Acquisition Study ran from 2014 to 20. It was funded by the European Research Council and hosted at the University of Zurich. The goal was to create a naturalistic, highly interactive corpus, including children aged 2 to 5, who acquired Dene as their first language. It was a longitudinal study. Each child would be recorded 4 to 5 hours a month in normal household interactions with the caregivers for at least a year. And this allowed us to document the linguistic development of each child as well as the surrounding speech. Our new project, Talking Dene, is a community-based participatory research project investigating the variety of Dene spoken in these two communities. It is running from 2020 to 24 and is funded by SSHRC. It's housed at the University of Saskatchewan. The goal here is to create a naturalistic corpus of about 100 different speakers, different age groups, backgrounds, and families from our two communities. And we want to record single speaker data in quiet settings, which contrasts with the multi-speaker data in often noisy settings from the earlier study. So the Dene Acquisition Study was remote by design. Local recording assistants, frequently a parent in the family recorded, were trained in recording techniques and data management. Data was transferred to a local computer, and then metadata was emailed, and a hard drive with new recordings would be sent by Canada Post registered mail. Then a student research assistant at the university would process the data and upload it to a secure project server at the University of Zurich. And a hard drive with processed media files would be mailed back to Clearwater River. There, local research assistants would work on transcription and translation using ELAN, and the transcribed and translated ELAN files were then emailed back to Dagmar at the University of Zurich for further analysis, for example, glossing. And this process evolved over time. So we were thinking, as we designed the new project, we will do this, plus some community additions, but we are in a pandemic, so we had to revise our process further in order to reduce contact. We now have no shared computer use, and recording equipment that has to be shared is sanitized and quarantined after use. We have absolutely no in-person data exchange. Instead, we rely entirely on SharePoint sites and Canada Post. All training and project meetings are done remotely, and all community activities, including the setup of the community archive, have been postponed until post-pandemic. But the biggest challenge we face, of course, is how do we even get new data in the middle of a pandemic? First of all, we simply check what is already out there. There is a set of recordings made of elders by Andrea Wilhelm in 2012, which we have permission to use. There are YouTube clips by community members. There is a Dene flight attendant. Here is a still of the Dene hairdresser. There's over 2 hours from these two communities. There is a daily Dene hour on NBC radio, frequently in other varieties, but occasionally a speaker from these two communities will call in. And there are other recordings available, and we're working on getting access and permission to use them. Additionally, we designed a safe research plan to create new recordings. And so in November, we were able to record 5.5 hours within the households of our recording assistants. So there was no contact between different households. As of December 1st, we're no longer allowed to do that, so we have, of course, stopped. But still, we now have a good amount of data to keep the project moving along until the situation improves. This, of course, would not be possible without our amazing team, and so we want to recognize our collaborators at the school, Mark and Alison, all of the people who shared pre-existing data. We want to thank our recording and transcription assistants and our student assistants and all of the speakers who shared their speech. To all of you, Marcy Cho.